All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the Remade Man podcast. We're changing it up a little bit here today. My name's Alex Hitt, and I'm going to be interviewing the Remade Man, Marty himself. So, Marty, thanks for doing this with me today. Appreciate you being here on your podcast, right? But appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, Marty, I'm really curious. The Remade Man project, we've been working on it together a little bit. But tell me again here, what is the Remade Man? What does that term mean? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I January 2023, I was kind of not in a great place. I was kind of just reevaluating my whole life and thinking about, okay, what areas of life have I really kind of been successful in, and what areas have I not been so successful in? And so for me, in the sort of business financial part of life, I've always done pretty well with that. And in the fitness and health part of life, I've always done pretty well with that. I've always been pretty in shape and into sports and pretty healthy. In the romantic relationship part of life, I've had a history that is checkered, and so I realized, like, hey, if I don't do something, I will likely make a similar mistake in the future. And so in 2023, did a ton of personal growth work. I hired a life coach, and I really made some dramatic changes in my life. And I've been so excited by my own results that I was like, you know what? Let me not just keep this to myself. Let me share what I've learned, and let's see if I can help some other people out.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I think we all go through, some people call it the dark night of the soul or a self-reflection process. I mean, this happens at many different stages of life, right? But walk me through. I mean, you said that there were some pretty significant changes. So what are some of the things that, changed for you and working with the life coach, or what were the things that helped you change, and then what were the changes?
Yeah. So going back to when I went through a divorce,
Hmm.
right? So that was kind of a major,
Yeah.
um,
How long were you
setback.
divorced, or how long were you married for?
I was married 6 years,
Wow.
and went through a divorce, and it really shook me,
Yeah.
and it was not expected. I expected that I would get married, and that was going to be it. I was going to stay married the rest of my life, and things took an unexpected turn, and uh, things happened that I were not forgivable. So I
Yeah.
made a decision to move on from that. Unfortunately, I didn't choose a great path at that time.
Hmm.
This is 12 years ago.
Hmm.
The path I chose was one of the paths I chose was drinking alcohol, and drinking a lot of alcohol. And so I I realize now that a lot of men, when they go through a divorce, they do choose bad roads. They choose the road of alcohol or drugs, or the road of I need to start dating like crazy way before I'm ready to do that. And so those choices, I call that kind of being in the swamp. You're stuck in the swamp, and obviously those aren't the best choices. And so I was in this 2-year dark period of drinking way too much. And I don't want other men to go down that road, whether it's after a divorce, after, let's say, getting fired from a job, after maybe losing a loved one, whatever the major setback is. Those are triggers that can easily send us down dark roads. And so I don't want other guys to choose those roads. And so that's a main reason for doing this. And then specifically in the year 2023, with hiring a life coach, I just realized that, hey, I need to really design my life, plan it out, decide what does my ideal life look like, and choose that course of action, like consciously choose that course of action rather than just like letting life happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, man. Thanks for sharing that. A lot of people go through that. I mean, drugs, alcohol, gambling, addiction, whatever it is, right? And people cope in different ways. And, for men, there's not, this is said a lot, but, there's not necessarily a people to go to, or a receptive society for, you could say, men's pain, emotional pain, or experiences? Is that what you kind of, you were married to your wife for, you said, 6 years, a long time, and then what was your support network like? I mean, maybe you were just, I mean, it's really unexpected too, right? So that's really hard
Yeah,
to deal with.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so women are way more likely than men to reach out for help in those kind
Hmm.
of situations. So
Yep.
they're more likely to be open about it, more likely to, talk to their girlfriends or other, important people in their lives about what they're going through, or to actually seek out professional help, or
Mhm.
to, join groups and those kind of things. And us guys, we are strong, tough men. We don't need that. We'll figure it out. That's kind of how guys typically are, and we're far less likely to open up and to be open about those things.
Are you more of like an introvert when it comes to like a personality type?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the kind of person I don't really talk too much about myself.
Mhm.
If people ask me questions about me and kind of draw the information up, and I'll kind of more happily share, but I
Yeah.
don't really initiate that myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a pretty private person, but I also understand the necessity of, talking to people and letting people into my life, right? And not shutting everybody out. But I'm more of a private person. But I've had those moments where I'm like, wow, I really wish I had somebody, that I could talk to right now about what XYZ,
Hmm.
whatever thing, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and so, you said you're on a mission here to help other men avoid kind of those same mistakes, maybe create like a community or a resource, or, a group. So tell me more about that and kind of the mission of the Remade Man and the community and the resources that you're building out here for people.
Yeah. All right. So the Remade Man is the title of my podcast. It's also the name of my Facebook group and the website, and a forthcoming book, also that same title. So in the Facebook group, the idea is creating a community of men who, we've all gone through some setback. Could be divorce, could be loss of a loved one, get fired, going down, or, just different things that happen to us in life. But we've all had them, right?
Yeah.
And so we want to bounce back from that. We want to do it in a positive way, in a very intentional way. So Facebook group is a community of men that are actively working on self-improvement and actively want to learn more and seek help and help other men in the group.
Mm. Nice. Nice. And you're doing the podcast. So what are you talking about on the podcast? I mean, self-improvement is one of the things, but what other topics will you be addressing on the podcast?
So I've got a lot of great ideas, what I think are great ideas. There's so many things to talk about. Definitely resiliency, goal setting, self-reflection, just really intentionally planning our lives and then going after it. Massive action is going to be another one. Tony Robbins, he coined that term, massive action, and I love that because we often get stuck. We get
Mhm.
stuck in the mud, and
Mhm.
it takes massive action to get out of the mud. Last year, 2023, I did take massive action on myself. So I became my own project. I put myself in the lab. I worked on myself, and the results I'm super happy about. So I'm much happier, much more fulfilled now, much more self-aware, and so I'm excited to lift other guys up as well.
Yeah. We only got a little bit of more time here, Marty, but what was, a lot of guys maybe in that place right now, that stuck place, that, they're up to here with it all, right? And getting that ball moving, getting that momentum, making that change that actually has a long-term effect, right? That we don't just make change right now, but we make change, that we are committed to and into the future, right? So,
Hmm.
you were there. What was that thing? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? Was there a moment? Was there a person? Was there, something that happened, or what allowed you to kind of get that ball rolling if somebody's listening right now and they may be in that position?
Okay, so for me, it was a failed relationship. So I went
Yeah.
through a breakup. Went through a breakup, and then I, look, kind of just reevaluated my whole life and the relationships I've had. I've been married one time. I've had a number of other relationships, and and I said, hey, what am I doing wrong? So really just, self-assessment. And turns out that the first thing I was doing wrong is not clearly knowing what I wanted.
Hmm.
And so I would fall into the trap of generally choosing women who are physically beautiful but had other issues. And I always was of the opinion that I can help raise them up and fix their issues. Unfortunately, in relationships, it usually doesn't work that way. So for any human, whatever your issue is, if you're, if it's alcohol or if it's whatever it is, you have to recognize it's an issue, right? Admit you have a problem, so to speak, in the AA terms. You have to recognize and admit that that's an issue before you can fix it, right?
Hmm.
And so if you don't feel you have any issues, you're not going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And what were maybe some of the people or some of the were you influenced by like a book or like I watch a lot of YouTube, so I'm always like, learning from people on YouTube, but was there a person, a book, a group that you connected with that was like kind of pivotal at that point?
Yeah. So, well, I guess two things in particular. I read a good number of books last year. Learned a lot from that. There was one program in particular. It's a book website and it's an app. It's called Positive Intelligence.
Hmm.
And so I went through that program, and it was amazing. And I am actually furthering my studies to be a certified coach of the Positive Intelligence program. But that was huge. That talks about the various saboteurs in our brain,
Mhm.
um, and we have the saboteurs in our brain over here, and then we have the sage part of our brain. And the idea is to recognize what the saboteurs are and the influence they're having, and to quiet them. We can't get rid of them, but we can learn to quiet them and to encourage or awaken the sage part of our brain that makes more positive decisions for us. So it's
Mhm.
super enlightening, and I am active in that program on my on the app daily with that. So each day my knowledge of that improves, and it's been transformational.
Wow. I've never heard about that app before. I'll have to check that out. So Positive Intelligence, yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. Well, thanks. Well,
So
cool.
yeah, so definitely that, and then I mentioned a life coach before. So then my
Right.
life coach, once a week calls with my life coach, and that positive intelligence program. Those were, if I had to pick out like the two biggest influences, it would be those two.
Yeah. Well, I think, one of the keys is that it was another person too. It wasn't you in isolation trying to, and I think this is something that, people talk about go monk mode, right? Don't do it all
Mhm.
by yourself. Don't reach. And that was kind of what you may have been, what a lot of people I think struggle with is, okay, well, I can do this by myself. I can pull myself up by my bootstraps. I have to do it all. And if I can't do it all, then that means I'm less than the person who can do it all, right?
Mhm.
Which that's just kind of maybe a function of American culture, the individualistic society, or maybe being men, right? Where we feel like we have to do these things alone. So I think it's interesting in your story. It was another person. So this is maybe a reason that people should get involved in what you're doing with the Remade Man, because your transformation, your successful transformation, wasn't done in isolation. You kind
Exactly.
of, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. It definitely would not have happened anywhere near to the extent that it did without my coach.
Yeah,
And so definitely a major source of inspiration and learning and positivity. So,
yeah. Well, a lot of people, oh, a life coach, right? Maybe even you thought about that, like maybe before getting like a life coach, why? But that connection, that person there to push you, challenge you, support you, um, regardless of their credentials, letters after their name, right? There's a lot of
mhm.
benefit that can come from that. So that's really great. Well, Marty, we're coming
Yeah.
up here on time. Go ahead. Did you have one more thing
Just,
to add?
just to follow up on that point real quick.
Yeah.
That's an important point you make. So the term life coach. So there are many life coaches out there, and I think the COVID pandemic brought about more and more life coaches, and and some are not great, and some are absolutely amazing and just life-changing individuals that like really can help people change their lives. And so so when I began with a life coach, I was super skeptical, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a try. And I was honestly, I was shocked by the kind of insights I was getting and the results I was getting.
Wow. Make me want to get a life coach. I'm like, I should get a life coach. Well, that's great, Marty. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your day to do this and to do an interview. Lastly, Marty, you said you got a lot of different things cooking. You got the book, you got the Facebook. How do people find you online? How do they interact with you if they want to reach out to you and connect with you?
Okay, so right now the best way to connect would be the Facebook group. So the Facebook group is called the Remade Man. So you can find the group on Facebook. You can join the group. I can probably post it here on my eyeballs here. And also the YouTube channel is another way to find us.
Nice. Yeah, you made it easy. Everything's under the Remade Man. So as he continues to put this out, you should be able just to like Google search and it'll probably come up. But yeah, Marty, well, thanks for doing this. We'll have to do it again here soon. Maybe make like a monthly or weekly thing out of it, because I always appreciate talking to you. So thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome, Alex. Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Cool. Thanks.